Meet Wookie, a former pro snowboarder and founder of the infamous Logmasters Rail Jam. Phil Lindemann with your news from Avalanche Physical Therapy on Krystal 93. First, the Eisenhower avalanche criminal case has gone to mistrial.
I apologize that we were not able to finish it today and tomorrow. I know all of us wanted that to happen.
That was Judge Edward Casillas today, addressing the defendants, attorneys, and upwards of 40 virtual attendees at the Justice Center in Breckenridge. After 2 rounds of interviews with potential jurors, attorneys could not fill the jury, due in large part to many no-shows.
It's an important case. Every case is important to the people for which it affects, and this is one that needs to be heard, and we will reschedule a trial.
Defendants Evan Hannibal and Tyler DeWitt are back in court June 7th and 8th, answering to charges that they sparked a slide above the tunnels last March, endangering lives and destroying an avalanche gun. COVID caseload in Summit has been climbing for 5 weeks now, but today we are still level yellow on the state's new COVID dial. 5-star gyms and restaurants in Summit, Eagle, and Grand counties have no more capacity limits, but 6-foot spacing remains. Bars can reopen for level blue counties, including Park and Lake, and half the state is now level green, the safest level, including Gilpin and Clear Creek. Green counties can host outdoor events with no capacity limits. May 3rd, 1998 was closing day at Breckenridge, and closing day on Brian Flemming's pro snowboarding career, when he snapped his femur on a tree.
When I flew into the woods, I could have tried to cut out, but I was like, I am going for this tree, and I'm going to break this board and hug it like a bear. And it just sprang-boarded me into other trees, and I was like, all right, and I went to go lift my leg to get out of my bindings, and my femur slapped me in the chest.
That was Flemming, a.k.a. Wookie, the subject of a new biography. Wookie is not his real name, written by his partner, Laura Lieff.
I said to him, I go, if we're going to write this, if I'm going to write this, we're going to tell the whole story. So if you're not on board, I will stop right now. But if you're up for it, let's do it. And Wookie was up for it.
It's something that had to happen. I mean, I got beat up and brutalized, and I didn't give up.
His surgery was botched, but that's a story for the book. By 2001, he got back on a board and created one of the most infamous events in the high country, the Logmasters Natural Rail Jam at Beaver Creek.
Logmasters is amazing, no question about that. There's a whole chapter about Logmasters, but that is just something he did. That is not who he is. Putting aside for a minute that he's my significant other, I've never seen somebody roll with the punches like Wookie does.
Logmasters was invite only, drawing a who's who of local riders, but the Beav and Forest Service never sanctioned it, and they pulled Wookie's Epic Pass in 2014.
Ward travels fast in small towns, and he couldn't use his pass, but he could be on the mountain. So next thing we know, there's tickets on our doorstep, in our P.O. box, from people all over the country.
Wookie and Laura live in Edwards, where she is a freelance editor, and he is a stay-at-home dad, passing his love of snowboarding on to the next generation, their young son, Fleet.
This writing is about Wookie, but it's for Fleet. It's for him, and it's going to be a very cool thing to show him when he's older and when he understands all this.
Wookie is not his real name is on shelves now at the Next Page bookstore in Frisco. This week on the Commissioners Roundtable.
Certainly the previous board members have, put these measures on ballots, but when 60% of Summit County says, hey, we want to look at these local challenges and we want to solve it with local dollars, I think that speaks to the values of the majority of the community.
That was County Commissioner Josh Blanchard responding to recent criticism, blaming our current housing and workforce woes on his predecessors and over-taxation.
And we're not the only community that's facing that. This is a mountain resort challenge. We're seeing this with our neighbors in Eagle, Grand counties, Pitkin County. This is something that will continue to be a challenge.
Voters in 2018 approved $88 million for strong futures over the next 10 years, giving $2 million annually to childcare.
Processes for getting tuition rates for families, providing care for 4-year-olds throughout Summit County, really looking at providing professional development and professional support for the staff, expanding programs like tuition subsidies.
Strong Futures is also funding an expansion at Lake Dillon Preschool and a new childcare center at Smith Ranch in Silverthorne. Another $2 million yearly goes to mental health programs and scholarships, helping at-risk locals get the help they need, especially teens.
We're seeing an increase in mental health needs amongst our teen population. It's been devastating as kids have not been in school or have been in and out of school.
Revising the county's comprehensive plan is a top priority, and new guidance on zoning should protect future homes from wildfire.
We're constantly looking at the data and looking at what we can do to prevent these potentially catastrophic events happening in Summit County.
Strong Futures funding is good through 2027. We'll be back in 2 weeks for the next Commissioners Roundtable. In sports, CSU Rams basketball plays NC State in the NIT tournament quarterfinal, 5 o'clock today on ESPN. The Avalanche face the Golden Knights at 7. And in local sports, brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Weiss Agency, Summit High Girls Volleyball plays Battle Mountain away today. Phil Lindemann with your news from Avalanche Physical Therapy on Krystal 93.